Black people have this weird fantasy of white people being racist towards them. Like, they want white people to be racist towards them. Those videos of the women, the black women, like recording themselves in a bathroom, and a white woman literally glances at them, and then they go about their business, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, she's so racist, she looked at me, she's a white woman. Please shut up. Like, y'all really need to stop the victim complex. It looks embarrassing, first of all, and second of all, it's just doesn't it get tiring? Magnify every single white person to see if they're racist towards you or not. The truth is, y'all don't want racism to end. Y'all want it to live on just so y'all can get victim points. Like, that's literally the truth.
I partly agree with her. I disagree with her on some of it. I don't think that black people want racism to continue. I think that when the only tool you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail type of mentality. And so, we like to do this thing where we put the end product on black people, but we don't like to talk about how we got there to begin with. So one of the things that she said is that black people pretty much are looking for white people to be racist, and that, sometimes you may find racism when it's not there. Of course that's going to be the case, because when you go looking for something, or I think when that's your only explanation or understanding of a certain situation, you can get it wrong at times. Just like when the police go in certain neighborhoods and are looking for criminals, they pull the wrong person over sometimes. They have search warrants where they go into the wrong house sometimes. But I know that that's something that a lot of people will support, because more often than not, maybe they get it right, or more often than not, it's the best tool that we have. What are we dealing with when we talk about racism, right? Let's set the foundation. So we live in a society now where racism has moved from what is called overt racism to covert racism. So before, we had overt racism where it was perfectly fine, for example, for a white person to call you the N-word, to say we don't want you working here because you're black, to deny you a mortgage because you're black, to own you. Can't leave that. To own you because you're black. That's no longer the case, right? It doesn't matter if you're a CEO of a Fortune 500 company or if you're the manager at Walmart. If you openly call a black person the N-word, you will probably lose your job. You will probably lose your livelihood. You will be castigated from society. So it's no longer okay to be overtly racist. So where does that leave black people in a world where racism still exists, and we believe that there are times where that racism is then used against us in a way that negatively impacts us? We are left to guess what is racist and what is not. And this is one of the tragedies of racism, is that, it's like, imagine that there's like certain gases that you can't see. I say all of them. Like most gases you can't see, but there are some where if you breathe them in, you will die. If you breathe them in for too long, you will die. Like what is it? CO2, I think it's called. There are certain gases where if you breathe them in, you will die. Now, you can't see them, and pretty much you only know that they're there once you start developing the symptoms. So it's something you can't see. You can't necessarily prove it unless you have some type of technology. Racism operates the same way now. You can't necessarily see it in some instances, but you know it's there. That is what you're dealing with. So it's really up to the individual now to define whether they've experienced racism based off of what their understanding of racism is. And this is where we're at with racism. Now, it's of course not a foolproof, safe-proof way of dealing with such an important issue, but it's the best that we have because we've outlawed it by law, because there's so many consequences that if you're openly racist, that things will happen to you. When it's operating covertly, though, black people have been trained already to believe, to a large degree, that white people are their problem. That it's white people's fault why black people are not where they want to be. It's white people's fault if you didn't get that job because your name sounded so black, or because you're overqualified and they still didn't hire you but hire somebody else because they're white. Like, This is the narrative that's going along in the black community, and it's being taught to children. And when children learn this narrative and they believe that this is how the world operates, and then you run into a white person, that is what you're going to think. You're going to think those things unless you untrain yourself, right? And for me personally, I'll say, like, I definitely had to untrain myself in a lot of instances, especially when it came to the police, because I was always told, within the community, and just heard, police and black people don't really vibe. So then what happens when you run into a police officer? You think that this is a negative interaction. You may think that they're doing certain things because you're black, blah, blah, blah. It's like, I've never personally been in front of a lion before, but I know if I'm in front of a lion, I need to be on high guard. I know that what they're capable of. I've never been in front of one in real life, but I know this is what racism is like. And what a lot of people don't understand, and what I will say to her credit, right? There is a certain faction of the black community where they are not speaking from experience. They are not speaking from racist experiences that were like, okay, that's clearly racist. More times than not, it's unverifiable. You just didn't get the job. You put in 50 applications online and you didn't get a job, and now it's because you're black. These are the type of things that can be harmful, right? But in other situations, maybe someone's calling you the N-word, or you see how they interact with white people and black people, and maybe you have insight. But in most cases, you may not even be around somebody long enough to gain that insight. A lot of the instances we see online of white people being racist to black people, these are things where it's like a 30-second to a minute interaction and something happened and we get half the clip. And that's our understanding, is if somebody white does something to somebody black, it was automatically racist. But I'm going to tell you right now, sometimes you just think someone's an idiot. Sometimes you just don't vibe with them. Sometimes it has nothing to do with race. So let's talk about solutions, right? Let's talk about practical solutions. If you're a black person who finds yourself more often than not blaming white people's behavior on racism, or you have a white boss, whatever it is, your interaction with the white world is a place of racism and it's impacting you negatively, or maybe you just want a different perspective, what I want you to honestly take into consideration is this. Right? If it is racism, you still need to try your hardest. If it is racism, you still need to give it your all. If it is racism, you still need to put forth your best effort, because guess what? If it is racism, that means you need to go even harder. If it is racism, that means that you need to be on your best behavior, right? Like, you want to make it home to your kids, right? You want to be able to pass on your legacy, right? You want to be able to get to the places you want to be at and handle your business, right? So my thinking is this. No one's saying you're wrong feeling the way you feel about white people and about racism and teaching your kids what you want to teach them about racism and white people. But what I am saying is that more times than not, if you let that go unchecked and you don't have some type of balance in your perspective, then you are going to succumb to it, and you are going to be one of those people where it's obvious that it's not racism in certain situations, and that's going to be something that holds you back from achieving what you want to achieve, right? We're talking about the people that they never took a management class, but they never made me a supervisor, but they never took a management class, they never did anything to progress, they never did anything to upskill, but it's because of racism. This is where you're speeding and you get pulled over and it's like, oh, you pulled me over because I'm black. Like, there's never any accountability. So my solution is this. Still put your best foot forward. Read more books. Talk to more white people. Talk to more black people. Go hang around with white people. Go do what you need to do to get some different experiences, because we're living in a time now where if the black community does not take advantage of AI and take advantage of the opportunity now, we're going to get left behind. And I think one of the ways that they're planning on making sure we get left behind is making us focus most of our attention on racism and less of our attention on other things that are actually more important. And I love talking about racism and race. I don't think it's necessarily the biggest issue within the community. But let me know what y'all think. Make sure you tap into the Patreon. Information is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. Appreciate y'all. See you next time.